Hey, what's up, USA, International, Canada, Long Island, aka Strong Island, plus the five spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Queens. This is your man G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator, YouTuber, host with the most misunderstood lonely nomad, the man who holds the back doors of the Q5 and N24 buses, unstoppable independent podcaster, and Queens, New York native of Laurelton, Queens, New York. And yes, you are rocking and hanging out with me on the 67th episode of Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast, the Sports Edition show, the platform where we talk everything in sports, which includes baseball, basketball, football, and everything in between. You just name it. Now we are live and direct from StreamYard alongside with YouTube and Instagram Live. If you go, if you if you can follow the podcast on Instagram, um, turn on your notifications so you can know when I'll be on Instagram Live recording episodes. And on the side here, if you go to the sports YouTube channel page, make sure you grab that subscribe button alongside with alerts so you'll be notified on when each podcast episode recording is going to start, which includes the date, day, month, and time. And alongside with being notified on when each recording is going to be posted on the sports YouTube channel page. Leave a like and a comment along with the episodes, alongside with the sports topics that's being discussed, and tell us how you feel about the sports topics and everything else in between. Um, and and be sure to catch up on the episodes by listening, streaming, and watching. And you can download the episode plus your favorite sports topics, your favorite episodes. Plus, you can add the sports podcast right here to your playlist, which includes Spotify, Odyssey, Audible. You have Castbox FM, Deezer, Listen Notes, Moon FM podcast, and of course Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, alongside with every streaming platform that you can think of that you have wherever you get your podcasts. All right. And alongside with sharing the episodes, sharing the videos, and of course be sure to um tell a friend to another friend, and I'll handle the rest at the end of this podcast show recording. Now, I do want to remind people actually before I even begin, which I forgot to do it in my last recording last night. But hold on. Yeah, that part. Yeah, sorry about that. All right. So if you like to support this podcast, of course, hang on a second. Yes. Um, hang on. Yes, if you like to support this podcast, you can you have two options right here. My Cash App, which is $ G Money Stacks 555, or my PayPal, which is G Money Stacks Queens, New York. Now you don't need a lot of money to show moral support. All you need to do is choose whatever amount of money you choose and desire will be appreciated. It could be $1, it could be $5, it could be $10, whatever it is, will be appreciated. So there you have it right there. And before I forget, let me just say this though. If you'd like to communicate with me about anything sports related, it could be about baseball, New York Mets, it could be football, it could be whatever sport it is. is whatsoever. You can go to my Discord. I have some categories on my page, which is basically a music category, which is based on hip hop, rap, R&B. I also have a section about movies and TV shows, video games, of course, and of course sports related. And you can also chat with me in regards to how your week's been going, your mental health, whatever it may be, man. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it right there. Discord, G Money Stacks, 555. Okay. Um, all right. Let's get into let's get into the quick side bleacher bar, man. Let's do it. All right, starting with Malik Monk. All right. First and foremost, let me just see who just came in. I don't know who that is, but whatever. Um anyway, anyway, so starting with Malik Monk, and this is according to Sports Illustrated. One of the biggest bright spots of the Sacramento Kings and one of the most substantial factors of their success comes from 7-year NBA vet Malik Monk. After spending some time earlier in his career with the Charlotte Hornets and Los Angeles Lakers, he's finally found a lasting and impactful role for the past year plus for Sacramento, with the 2023 to 24 season marking the last of his 2-year, $20 million contract he signed an off-season ago. Monk will have the chance to get a nice raise in salary next summer. Ooh, that sounds pretty decent though. That sounds like a decent pay though. All right, so Hoops Hypes, Michael Scotto detailed a bit of the situation for the former Kentucky Wildcat, valuing his next contract to some other similar offensive guards around the league. And in quote, Monk's bet, hold on, Monk's bet on himself playing on a minimum salary with the Lakers 2 years ago paid off with a 2-year, $20 million deal with the Kings. He's outplayed the value of that deal as one of the best bench scorers who often closes for the Kings. Also, helping his case was his elevated performance in his debut playoff series against the Warriors. He can't extend his current contract, but the Kings will be allowed to re-sign him this offseason for up to 4 years, $78 million with his early bird rights. Um, that would make his annual salary comparable to other bench scorers like Gary Trent Jr. and Jordan Clarkson. So far through his second year with Sacramento, Monk has averaged 13.8 points, 2.9 rebounds, and 4.6 assists in an early 17 games off the bench. With the rate of bench scoring and shooting being valued around the league, Malik can find his way to a sizable contract if his play remains consistent going into the offseason. The Kings should have the means to re-sign him if they re- resist any other moves to bring in more talent and heavier contracts. Um, However, if they opt to add a third star to their current core of De'Aaron Fox and Demantis Sabonis, potentially a Zach Levine, it makes the future of Monk a bit foggier. Signs point to the Kings staying committed to familiarity and positive team chemistry, so the odds of Monk returning at this point seem high. However, much time remains between now and negotiations, meaning many options remain on the table. So, all right. So next we have we have Mitchell Robinson, according to the New York Post. Um, so the Knicks seem to have sidestep danger with Jalen Brunson, who practiced Sunday after turning his left ankle 2 days earlier. Mitchell Robinson does not appear to have been as lucky. The Knicks starting center and defensive anchor did not practice and already has been ruled out for Monday's game against the Raptors with ankle inflammation and was sent for further testing on that left ankle, which he injured Friday in Boston. Coach Tim Thibodeau, no, Tom Thibodeau, did not reveal the nature of the testing and said he did not know if the injury could keep Robinson out for long. Until we get the report, it's just speculation, Thibodeau said after practice. Robinson hurt his ankle in the first half of the loss of the Celtics and required x-rays, which Thibodeau had said came back negative. Damn, that injury shit has got to hurt, man. That injury shit has to hurt though. All right, man. So Robertson was not on the bench for the start of the second half, but returned soon thereafter and played nearly 5 minutes of the third quarter before sitting for the fourth. After the game, Thibodeau said Robertson was fine. Hmm. Um. Yeah, it remains to be seen. Anyway. So hang on a second here. It's nothing crazy. Robertson, um, who at who at the time thought he would be okay by Monday, said after Friday's game, "Think I took a wrong step, maybe." Robinson is among the best rebounders in the NBA and a valued rim protector, the type who can dominate games while barely scoring. The 7-footer is averaging 5.3 offensive bounds per game, which leads the league for a Knicks team that is fifth overall in rebounding. Grabbing boards and loose balls, creating extra possessions might be the Knicks' greatest strength. Another team strength has been health, and Robinson had played in the first 21 games this season. In his first 6 NBA seasons, Robinson maxed out in playing 72 games in 2021 to 22 and has battled various injuries along the way. Robinson missed 15 straight games with a broken hand during the 2020 to 21 season, then returned for 4 games before fracturing a bone in his right foot. Um, Last season, a November knee injury forced him to the sideline for 2.5 weeks before he required surgery on a fractured right thumb in January, which cost him 14 games. This season has been smooth for the 25-year-old who might be playing the best defense of his career. The Knicks have been excellent in keeping teams on the perimeter and are allowing 44.7 points in the paint per game, the sixth best in the NBA. Robinson missing extended time would be a blow for the Knicks, who have dropped 2 straight entering their matchup with Toronto at the Garden. If there is a silver lining, the Knicks are deep at center and likely would plug in Isaiah Hartenstein, excuse me, um, as starter and lightly used. Third-year big man Jericho Sims as backup. Hartenstein brings a similar skill set, so not much changes when he is on the floor. Sims, a leaper and stud athlete, has played in just 9 games and has rarely logged minutes that matter this season. I felt all along that one of our strengths was that position. Thibodeau said of his centers, the way Mitch has been playing, the way Isaiah has been playing, actually, Isaiah has deserved more time. But also Jericho, we forget that he's sitting there. And Jericho played very, very well for us last year. Um, if there is a second silver lining, Bronson is the piece the Knicks cannot lose. The point guard is listed as questionable for Monday's game with an ankle sprain after going down in garbage time. Garbage time. Garbage time. Oh shit. Oh, that's funny, man. That's fucking funny. Yeah, garbage time Friday and limping off the court. One of the worst scenes of the next season. Oh wow. But Bronson had a normal gait while taking in Villanova's win over UCLA on Saturday in Philadelphia, and Thibodeau said his point guard is fine. The Knicks will hope they can say the same about their starting center. It's a long season, guys in and out of the lineup. Injuries are part of the game, Josh Hart said. Don't know how much about Robinson yet, but whenever someone is out, it's an opportunity for others to step in and others' roles to be increased. Now, I like that part. I like that quote, man. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's a long season, guys, in and out of the lineup. Injuries are part of the game. I think you could say the same with baseball and along with other sports, which I will talk about when I give my thoughts on the crew from baseball night in New York who basically was bashing the Mets prior to the Edwin Diaz injury that happened and all that great stuff. Um, in a couple of minutes, so stay tuned for that one. Um, all right, so the Knicks, speaking of the Knicks honor the 50th anniversary. Yeah, 50th anniversary of 1972 to 73 championship team. And of course, this is also from the New York Post. One by one Saturday night, they made their way to the 8 chairs aligned on the left side of the Knicks mid-court logo at Madison Square Garden. Some walked on their own. Bill Bradley pushed Dick Barnett's wheelchair. Earl Monroe used a cane. They didn't cut and pivot like the current Knicks. They didn't have the same brisk strolls as the other former stars in attendance, bridging from the 1972 to 73 championship team to the present squad. But the 6 members of the Knicks Golden Anniversary team, along with the sons of late great Dave DeBusschere and Dean Meminger, had their memories of reaching the NBA's pinnacle, a peak no team in the franchise history has arrived as since. The 1972 to 73 team was honored for the 50th anniversary of their title during halftime of the Knicks 128 to 106 win over the Pelicans, with Barnett, Bradley, Monroe, Jerry Lucas, Henry Bibby, and Walt Frazier in attendance. Phil Jackson was invited per the Knicks, but didn't attend. Some like boos filtered from the crowd at the mention of Jackson, the former team president who was fired in 2017. We had a veteran team, Frazier said during the ceremony. We understood the nuances of having New York on our chest. We knew the high expectation, but we relished those expectations because we knew we lived in the greatest city in the world. Willis Reed spoke to the crowd via a pre-recorded video. Other former Knicks greeted the 1972 to 73 team on the court. Patrick Ewing thanked the championship team in the video for laying a foundation for when he arrived as a draft pick in 1985. When current Knicks coach Tom Thibodeau thought back to his childhood days watching that championship team, he first recalled what the group meant to the city. He thought about how his father, Tom Thibodeau Sr., was a fan. It's funny guys come back, and that's the beauty of the championship team. Thibodeau said pregame, "You are tied together forever, but what it's meant to all the different generations of people." Hold on a second, folks. Sorry about that, folks. Where was I? Yes. Yes, that year's team went 57-25 during the regular season, finishing 11 games behind Boston in the Atlantic Division, but then defeated the Baltimore Bullets and Celtics and the Lakers in the playoffs. Thibodeau recalled how Bradley moved without the ball, how Frazier backed defenders down and shot over his shoulder, how Reed made his hook shots and short the leg kick. Before the game, Jalen Brunson caught a microphone in hand with his current Knicks teammates stationed by their bench. The guard talked about how the 1972 and 73 team is one that the current group trying to snap the 50-year title drought has tried to embody because of those players' hard work, selflessness, and sacrifice. We'll try to continue to celebrate these legends and honor them and make them proud, Bronson told the crowd. All right, so yeah. Okay, so let's see what else we got to talk about here. Yes, yes. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Julius Randle. Hang on a minute here. Yes, here. Yes. So Julius Randle, the New York Knicks All-Star for Julius Randle's start to the 2023-24 season was anything but shining, especially from a shooting perspective. Over his first 6 games, Randle was shooting just over 27% from the field, last among those who averaged at least 10 points a game. By no coincidence, the Knicks stumbled to a 2-4 start in the immediate follow-up to their most successful season in a decade. It got to a point where the Knicks reportedly tried to sit Randle for his own good, but the 10th-year pro, well known for disregarding the idea of load management, mixed the idea, no, mixed the idea, despite coming off-season ankle surgery in June. Since then, Randle has turned his play around, and both he and the Knicks have seen improved returns. Randle's numbers are closer to his total from last year over the past 13 games, 23.5 points, 10 rebounds, and he's back to shooting 47% from the field, while the Knicks have gone 9-4. Shouts to the women from the the Fletcher twins uh, of their show. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Um, you can check them out on Spotify, follow them on Instagram, and check out their episodes. Appreciate them for watching this on Instagram Live. All right, so last week was particularly inspiring as Randall shot just under 55% and tallied averages of 24.7 points and 13.3 rebounds. Those efforts were rewarded with the Eastern Conference Player of the Week award, his third in a Knicks uniform. As the most impactful player on one of the last eight teams, standing from last year, Randle felt like a conventional choice to return to the NBA All-Star game in Indianapolis. The slow start might have delayed the campaign, but it'll be hard for voters to keep him off the ballot now. Randle will have a high-profile chance to improve his candidacy on Tuesday when the Knicks 12-7 face the Milwaukee Bucks in the knockout round of the inaugural NBA in-season tournament. Yeah. All right, so next we got Jimmy Butler. According to the NBA website. Let me see. Jimmy Butler. So the Heat missed out on Damian Lillard. Here's why Jimmy Butler is the NBA star in need of the most help. This might sound scrillage because the person in question makes roughly $35 million a season, but poor Jimmy Butler, his championship chances just took a hit for the second time in 4 months. Damn. Damn. Saying it isn't so, man. Say it isn't so. Say it isn't so. Say it isn't so. Hmm. Um, losing to hold on a minute here. Losing to Nikola Joe kick was painful enough. Painful enough. And now losing Damian Lillard. To be truthful, Butler and the Heat never had Lillard. But point made. And and point is Butler remains a star shy of grabbing that elusive title. That's because if you didn't notice, Butler runs out of gas in the moment of truth. He did so in the 2020 season restart championship series against the Los Angeles Lakers. And he did so again last June against the Denver Nuggets. Although he brings a knack for producing big scoring games, as the Milwaukee Bucks, as the Boston Celtics, etc. He's not really a big scorer. Those scattered postseason examples of him going off just are just that on defense. Hold on a second. All right. um yeah, sorry. Yeah, where was I? Um but the point is made, and point is Butler remains a star shy of grabbing that elusive title. All right, so that's because if you didn't notice, Butler runs out of gas in the moment of truth. He did so in the 2020 season's restart championship series against the Los Angeles Lakers, and he did so again last June against the Denver Nuggets. Although he brings a knack for producing big scoring games, as the Milwaukee Bucks, as the Boston Celtics, etc. He's not really a big scorer. Those scattered postseason examples of him going off are just that. And eventually, they exhaust a player who spends plenty of energy on defense. Ideally, Jimmy could use a certified fourth quarter scorer and closer. That's why Adam Lillard was so appealing. Bam, um, Bam Adebayo is plenty of things, but not that guy. Same goes for Tyler Hero and anyone else on the Heat roster. Pat Riley is never to be underestimated, even after losing the big fish that got away. But this was a significant whiff, and Butler's lungs, Butler's lungs and limbs can only rescue him so many times. All right, Ice Cube, Ice Cube with the big three. Yes. Yes, Ice Cube with the big three. Serial entrepreneur Ice Cube is producing and starring in an unscripted series about the big three professional basketball league. Ice Cube's Big Three Basketball League is recognized as the first professional black-owned sports league. Unlike NBA games, Big Three matches are half-court competitions in which the teams compete to reach 50 points and must win by at least 2 points with a 14-second shot clock. Deadline reports Ice Cube is teaming with Jesse Collins Entertainment on a sports docuseries revolving around his successful Big Three Sports League. Ice Cube will star in and produce via his Cube Vision with Jesse Collins Entertainment. The as yet untitled series will take an unprecedented look at the making of one of the fastest growing new leagues in the United States. The Big Three, as Ice Cube defies the NBA on its quest to become one of the biggest sports leagues in the world. Described as Welcome to Wrexham and Cheer meets basketball, the series will be dual narrative following Cube and the challenges of building a new basketball league from the ground up, as well as the journey of one of the big three teams as they navigate the ups and downs of a grueling season in pursuit of a national championship. Big Three's widely covered $1.2 billion lawsuit against Qatari investors will also be covered in the series. Damn. It's a boatload of money. um, yeah, that's a boatload of money right there. Let's see. Now we have to go to the Mets. Um, okay, so we have a so basically they put out this report card for each player, and this is from Mets mesmerizedonline.com. So this is okay, so Grade D 2023 review. When the 2023 season began, Brett Baty appeared to be the clear answer for the Mets' future at third base after hitting 325, 460, 425, and 40 spring training at bats. Baty was optioned to AAA Syracuse, where he hit 400, 586 with 5 home runs and 35 at bats. With Eduardo Escobar struggling, the Mets recalled Baty on April 7th, made him their starting third baseman. Baty continued to thrive offensively after his call-up. In his first 15 games, the rookie hit 319, 385, 511 with 5 extra base hits. Despite the hot start, things quickly took a turn in the wrong direction for Baty. Over his next 24 games, he hit just 173, 253, 284 while racking up 24 strikeouts. Damn. 24 strikeouts? Yeah. I'm sorry, but I had to play those sound effects to make my point. Oh man, I had to make my fucking point, man. This is shitty what Baty's going through, man. Anyway, yeah, the Mets third baseman shows slight signs of improvement in June, which made the Mets feel comfortable enough to trade Escobar to the Angels late in the month. Baty hit 257, 321, 338 for the month. While the power was lacking and the strikeouts continued to pile up. It was a step in the right direction after struggling in May. He was unable to build on this, however, as he found himself um, in another extended slump when the calendar turned to July. Wow. Um, in his next 28 games, Baty hit 149, 229, 253 while striking out 32 more times. The slump brought his slash line for the season down to 216, 289, 331, and resulted in Baty being demoted back to Syracuse on August 7th. After being given an extended chance to prove himself as the Mets third baseman of the future, the Texas native was back in the minors while Danny Mandick, Jonathan Aruz, and Mark Vientos were starting games at third base for the Mets. When he returned to Syracuse, Baty picked up where he left off before this April call up. He finished the year hitting 298, 388, 1.013 with 10 home runs and just 26 triple A games. On September 1st, Baty rejoined the Mets. Things did not go well for Baty initially after the call up, going just 4 for 31 in his first 10 games back in the majors. But he was able to find success over his final 12 games. Despite not drawing a walk, Baty hit 250 with 2 home runs and a double, 409 slugging percentage to close out a disappointing season on a high note. All right, so while Baty's defense was never been a strength and still isn't, he did take a step in the right direction in 2023 after seeking out Troy um Tulowitzki to work on his defense in the offseason. Baty showed marginal improvement defensively compared to 2022 after posting -3 DRs and DRS, excuse me, and -1 OAA in 93 innings in 2022, excuse me. Um Baty had -5 DRS and -4 OAA. If you don't know what those acronyms are, I suggest you look it up for yourself. Um, over 808, two-third innings in 2023. While there were clear signs of improvement, it is a part of Baty's game that certainly still needs work. Baty's 2023 season was nearly F-worthy. His terrific start and a strong finish to the season salvaged what was essentially a lost year for the 23-year-old third baseman. When the season started, Baty was viewed as a clear choice to be the Mets third baseman of the future after the Carlos Correa deal fell apart. His disastrous season has opened the door for Vientos or Ronny Mauricio to take that spot, or for the Mets to look outside the organization for their next third baseman. Um, yeah, I'm gonna talk about the injury to Ronny Mauricio in a couple of minutes. So stay tuned for that one right there. So, the 2024 outlook. Assuming the Mets don't sign or trade for a third baseman in the offseason, Baty should once again go into spring training in 2024 with a chance to win the starting third base job. While 2023 was not the year anyone would have expected from Baty, he will be just 24 years old next season. Baty is a former first round pick who was one of the top prospects in all of baseball going into the season, and that is not something that happens by accident. While that does not guarantee a successful MLB career, a poor rookie campaign does not guarantee a poor career. While Vientos and Mauricio are capable of playing third base, the Mets should hope that Baty can reclaim the job this spring, while his defense leaves more to be desired. He is a better option defensively than Vientos. Offensively, he may not have the speed Mauricio has or hit tape measure homers the way Mauricio can. But Mauricio's lack of plate discipline has always been a curse for concern for his future as a major leaguer. After a difficult year, it may be less certain. It may be less certain that Baty has the highest ceiling of the three, but what he likely has the lowest floor of the most well-rounded player of the bunch. All right. Okay. Ronny Mauricio. Yes, so grade C. Ronny Mauricio's long-awaited debut in the major leagues came in fruition when the rosters expanded at the beginning of September. He wasted no time going 2 for 3, a 117 miles per hour double to right center field in his debut against the Seattle Mariners. Mauricio could not have asked for a better start as he recorded at least one hit in each of his first 5 games. But as the month went on, the teams began to make adjustments against him. His individual numbers at the plate began to take a bit of a dip. On September 12th, against the Arizona Diamondbacks, Mauricio hit his first major league home run into the Coca-Cola corner in right field. The youngster got all of it, driving that ball 440 feet with an exit velocity of 112.4 miles per hour. Within a couple of days of his debut, it had become abundantly clear that Mauricio had quite a bit of power anytime he put a good swing on the ball. The question was, would he be able to showcase the right amount of plate discipline while looking for a successful hard hit rate? There are a few cases where a rookie comes to the big leagues and does not go through a period of time where they are striking out at a high clip. Mauricio was not one of them. As in the final 14 games of the regular season, he struck out at least 2 times on 8 different occasions. That stretch played a critical role in his 28.7% K, a well a well average a well above average, rate for major leaguers. Mauricio has a total of 108 plate appearances at the big league level in his young career, which is not a large enough sample size to fully judge him. Evaluators will hope to get a better idea of the kind of player he will as the 2024 season progresses. Mauricio is unique because despite standing at 6'3", he has a surprising amount of speed of the base paths. He was 7 for 7 in his stolen base attempts last season, which is an asset he should keep in his repertoire moving forward. He was also solid on defense, playing a couple dozen innings at third and the rest at second. He seemed to handle both well. 2024 overview. The New York Mets starting nine could look different to begin the 2024 season, meaning that Mauricio could find himself in the big league roster in late March. David Stearns has a lot of important decisions to make, one of which surrounds the young talent. What kind of role will Brett Baty, Mark Vientos, and Mauricio have next season? All three of them could be in contention to start, although the free agency could change that view as the offseason continues. Um, Mauricio became a fan favorite with his power and speed, but other areas of his game need to evolve over the next year. If he can show progression with his patience at the plate, the Mets could have a guy that can hit above 270 or 280 with 30 30 plus stolen bases. Given his age, Mauricio could be an important piece in the short term and the long term. He has plenty of potential, but he can turn that potential into something significant in 2024. Speaking of Ronny Mauricio, a couple of YouTubers was talking about his injury. His injury. Let's get into it right here. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. All right. All right. So news in regards to Ryan Mauricio, and a couple of YouTubers was talking about his injury, and unfortunately, it's a major blow for the Mets for 2024. Um, so this is according to Sports Illustrated. All right. So Ronny Mauricio, who could have won the starting third base job for the New York Mets this season, has torn his ACL, um, and could miss the entirety of 2024. Not the whole year, from what I'm hearing, actually. Um, not the whole year, though. He did this playing in the Dominican Winter League. Um, damn, son. This is crazy, man. Anyway, this update took place um December 11th. Unfortunately, Mauricio has torn his ACL and could miss the entirety, not the whole year, but of the 2024 season. Because this happened during the winter and not during spring training, there is a chance that he could be back prior to the end of, but it's too early to tell. Damn, son. Damn, son. Damn, son. That's wow. Wow. Yeah, this is definitely a major blow for the Mets, actually. This is a major blow for the Mets, actually. Major fucking blow. Um, yeah, so okay, so per Andy Martino, I forget what he said actually. I'm trying to look for it. Um, trying to look for this shit. Anyway, yeah, he's gonna need surgery. He's gonna need surgery. ACL has to do. Hold on a second. I'll look it up in a sec. The New York Mets got a scare on Sunday when top prospect Ronny Mauricio left a game in the Dominican Winter League with a leg injury. Um, per Mets writer Michael Mayer, Ronny Mauricio went 2 for 4 with a triple and a walk tonight in winter ball. Also played his fifth straight game without an error. However, he left the game with the trainer after he came up limping during running the bases. Um, there's no word on the severity of the injury at this point, but Mauricio figures to battle with Brett Baty for the third base job in Queens. He appeared in 26 games for the Mets in 2023, hitting 248 with 2 homers and 9 RBIs. He got 108 at bats for the Mets, who finished in 4th place in the National League. He is currently ranked the number 4 prospect in the organization per MLB.com. The following comes from a portion of his MLB.com prospect profile. Mauricio looms large in the box at 6'3" and can make loud impact upon contact from an open stance, especially when hitting from the left side, where he has better slugging numbers. It's that contact part that's been a major issue. Mauricio can get aggressive and expand the strike zone with his massive cuts, particularly against spin, leading to a 4.4% walk rate, lowest among Mets minor league qualifiers. Now facing advanced pitching in the upper minors, he'll have to make adjustments quickly to prove he's capable of being more than all power, little hit. Of course, we'll update you with more information as it comes available. So we have to wait and see, folks. We have to wait and see. Now, as for those who may not know what ACL is, let me just look this up right here real quick. What is ACL? And what it stands for. Okay. Hang on 1 second. Okay. So ACL, for those of you who may not know, it stands for anterior cruciate ligament, which is in the middle of the knee. It prevents the shin bone from sliding out in front of the thigh bone. Wow. Yeah, you know what? I feel bad for them, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's crazy. Um, that's really crazy though, man. Yeah, I already talked about the college career thing. I already talked about the college career thing. I already talked about that. Um, I already talked about that shit though. Um, let's see what else. All right. Uh, hope Mark. I hope I hope Ronny Mauricio gets all the help and the surgery that he needs for his to repair his knee and leg. Actually, yes. So remains to be seen, man. Anyway, Mark Vientos, grade D. Wow. 2023 review. Mark Vientos did not make the New York Mets opening day roster, but So he began the season in AAA Syracuse. He spent the first 6+ weeks of the season in the minors before getting called up on May 17th. He had a big night in his season debut against the Tampa Bay Rays, hitting a pivotal 2-run home run in an 8-7 win in extra innings. 2 days later, Vientos had an RBI single that helped the team defeat the Cleveland Guardians. At that point, it felt like Vientos had found his bat at the perfect time. Unfortunately, the 2017 second round draft pick only found himself in the lineup against left-handed starters, which forced him to the bench on most nights. Vientos could not get into any sort of rhythm as a result of that, which meant that he looked a bit overmatched in a majority of his at-bats. Despite making an immediate impact with the big league ball club, he finished May of hitting 192 and a 530 OPS in 9 games, which is 7 starts. It would not get any better for Vientos in the month of June as he slashed 158, 227, 158, and 22 at bats. On the 18th of June, he was optioned back to AAA and he needed at bats. And at that time, the only way to get those was to return to Syracuse. But once the Mets decided to sell at the trade deadline, an opportunity presented presented itself to Vientos. He returned to the Bees with a point to prove, hitting 7 for 21 with a home run and 3 runs batted in over the final 7 games of July. But again, his success would only last for so long as Vientos hit 191 with a 453 OPS in 18 games. A lack of plate discipline played a significant role in his struggles as he struck out 23 times in 68 plate appearances. Um, Being an everyday player eventually paid off for Vientos, finishing the campaign with a slash line of 230, 280, 460 with 6 home runs and 11 runs batted in over the final 24 games. Those numbers may not be impressive for some, but they point to the fact that he showed progression over a large period of time. The most enticing aspect of Vientos' game in the long term was his hard hit statistics. At the end of the season, he finished with a 51% hard hit percentage and 92.5 miles mile per hour average exit velocity. With those numbers, Vientos finished in the red for hard hit percentage, average exit velocity, and barrel percentage of baseball I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I kept it on mute. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I kept it on mute. Yeah. Where were we? Where were we? Where were we? Um, let me go back to the part. Let me go back to the. Let me go back to the part. Um. Wait a minute. Right. Um. Yes, so the most enticing aspect of Vientos' game in the long term was his hard hit statistics. At the end of the season, um, he finished with a 51% hard hit percentage and 92.5 mile per hour average exit velocity. With those numbers, Vientos finished in the red for hard hit percentage, average exit velocity, and barrel percentage on Baseball Savant. Let me go back to fighting. Yeah. Um, yeah. Let me go back to. All right. So, the Mets have made it clear that their window is going to be 2025 and 2026. And if Vientos continues to improve and hit the ball hard, he may wind up being um part of those plans. Now, the 2024 overview, Mark Vientos showed bits and pieces of promise when he was in the lineup consistently. His overall numbers didn't look impressive, but he performed at a much better clip in the month of August. If Vientos is able to build off that and become a bit more disciplined, he could have a big part to play in 2024. The Mets need a full-time designated hitter, and he could be the man for the job. All right. Let's see. Who else in the report card thing, man? Starling Marte. Wow. It was an injury riddled season for Starling Marte as he finished the year dating back to early August. August 5th was the day he last suited up for the New York Mets in 2023. Um, After undergoing double groin surgery in the offseason, he re-injured his right groin, resulting in his trip to the IL for the remainder of the season. His first IL stint was due to migraines at the end of July, and he only managed to play 3 games before his second groin injury. After a very impressive 2022 campaign for the Mets, whom some argued that his absence was the key reason for losing the wild card round. He could simply not find that same success both at the plate and in the field. Marte struggled defensively early on, and it left many fans scratching their heads after a plus defensive season the year prior. His OPS took almost a 200-point dip between his 2 seasons, 814 and 22 versus 625 and 23 in New York. Watching Marte play this season, he didn't seem like he was at 100% health from the get-go. He seemed slower, and according to StatCast, his sprint speed decreased from 2022 to 2023. StatCast measures the sprint speed by diving feet covered per second. Marte covered 27.1 feet per second this year compared to 28.2 in 2022. Hold on. That may not seem like a huge drop off, but it's enough to drop him from the 189th fastest sprint speed to 335th in the league. Despite the decreased sprint speed, Marte did find success in swiping bags this season. He converted 24 of 28 attempts, 86%. Looking back at 22, he made it safely 18 of 27 attempts, 66%. Overall, both at the plate and in the field, it was a miserable season for the 35-year-old. Injuries certainly hampered him from repeating his big season from the Mets' 101 win season a year ago. Now we go to the 2024 outlook. Marte is signed through the 2025 season with $39 million left on his contract. Unless new president of baseball operations David Stearns and owner Steve Cohen decide to eat some of that money in a deal over the offseason, Marte will be back on the Mets roster in 2024. Well, yeah, yikes. Yikes, right? Yeah, yikes is right, man. Um, X is right, man. 35, man. I don't think I think he's at his prime right now, man. He is at his prime right now. He's not in his 20s anymore, Lee. So if you really want to get technical. So damn, $35 million. Yes, yes, it remains to be seen what the Mets will pursue in free agency and the trade market, but it is absolutely plausible they look to add another outfielder to compete for a starting position. Um, so Brandon Nimmo will be penciled into the lineup for years to come. McNeil played a bunch of corner outfields this season, and with the likes of Ronny Mauricio, Brett Baty, and Vientos all seeing major league playing time this year, it makes it more likely McNeil continues to see playing time somewhere in the outfield. The Mets will likely bring back DJ Stewart, which they have already, after he had a nice power surge in late in the season and is arbitration eligible in 2024. And the Mets have top prospect Louis Angel Acuna, which is Ronald Acuna's brother, with minor league experience in both the infield and outfield, who could see time in MLB games at some point in 2024. Um, the Mets have in-house options, and some of these guys will need to stand out to secure a spot in the lineup. Marte has proven himself as a reality good player over the course of his 12-year career. Fully healthy, it would not be the form he had just 1 year ago. However, unfortunately, there is not telling if full health is possible if as he continues to age. Regardless, he will likely be on the opening day roster in 2024. Up next, we have Steve Cohen. Yeah, Steve Cohen did some press conferences and stuff. So let's get into the two. First happened over the summer, then we go to the previous one. So, and this is from at the MLB website. In the hours before the Mets made a franchise-altering trade of Max Scherzer last weekend, um, precipitating um precipitating hang on a second. Precipitating a historic sell-off prior to Tuesday's trade deadline. Scherzer spoke to owner Steve Cohen and learned what the rest of the baseball world soon would. Max asked me straight, Cohen, he goes, are you going to be all in on free agency next year? And I couldn't give him that promise. Um, with that, the wheels of everything that followed the trade of Scherzer, a trade of Justin Verlander, plus several other trades His actions that transformed the face of baseball's most expensive roster shuddered into motion. Speaking Wednesday from Kauffman Stadium before a 4-0 loss to the Royals, Cohen defended those moves as well as the general direction of the franchise, saying he saw no indication that things were changing enough with the team's pre-deadline play to warrant any other course of action. Um, End quote. I said before, hope's not a strategy, Cohen said, referencing a June press conference in which he hinted at his plans if the Mets failed to improve. Now, saying that we didn't have any idea of what was possible at the deadline, and we weren't just going to do deals for the sake of doing deals. We thought we got a great return for the people we ended up trading. Cohen, who was in Kansas City on a pre-planned social trip with members of his college fraternity, stopped by the Mets clubhouse to deliver his personal message to the team, particularly to shortstop Francisco Lindor and outfielder Brandon Nimmo, who are both under contract beyond the end of this decade. Upon learning of the Scherzer trade on Saturday, Nimmo said he had trouble sleeping. He has signed an 8-year contract under um, the premise that the Mets would be consistently competitive. That, Cohen reiterated, is still the plan, even if the team takes a strategic step back in 2024. And end quote, it was a lot of anxiety, Nimmo said of last weekend. I was just stressed out about, okay, what does it mean for this year? Because the David Robertson trade was one thing, but Scherzer was another. And then it was okay. Now, what does it mean for next year? Because he was signed for next year. I was just trying to get a grasp on everything. And former general manager, Billy Epler did what he could to ease the minds of Nimmo and Lindor, but Cohen wanted to deliver a personal message as well. So he showed up to the team's open clubhouse on Tuesday afternoon, chatting with the various players and coaches, including a lengthy closed-door meeting with manager Buck Showalter. Afterward, Cohen offered his thoughts on various elements of the team. Um, yeah, on his plan for the 2024 roster, it won't be as star-studded team as it was, but stars don't necessarily make for wins. I think we're going to be highly competitive. The expectations were really high this year. My guess is next year they'll be a little lower, but I can't speak to the off season. I'm optimistic. No, excuse me. I'm opportunistic. Um, I don't want to roll a team out there will be embarrassed by. On Pete Alonso, who can become a free agent after 2024. We love Pete as a Met. He's an integral part of the Mets. He's still with us for another year. We hope we work things out. Even with Nimmo, we work things out in free agency. Hopefully, we'll get a few bites at the apple and try to figure it out. Cohen stopped short of saying he intends to negotiate an extension with Alonso, but added, Pete is a great Met. On Showalter, whose contract also runs through 2024, um, anything's anything's possible. But I've got a 3-year contract with Buck, and Buck's working his butt off, doing a good job. I don't put it on Buck. I don't put it on the players. On Epler, who could have a new boss if the Mets hire a president of baseball operations as planned this winter, as you witnessed at the trade deadline. I think Billy did a job. Essentially, Cohen lauded the franchise, its operations, and several of its more prominent members, while reserving the right to change his mind at any point. Much as he was intimately involved in the Mets baseball operations leading up to the trade deadline. Cohen expects to continue playing a major role in their future direction. I own the club, right? He said, don't forget that. All right. So in other Steve Cohen news, um, yes, so following their 101 win season, the 2023 Mets underperformed. They mustered just 75 wins, and their prospects for 2024 are not looking as great as they did when the season opened in March. However, Mets owner Steve Cohen knows how tough it is to build, maintain, and run a team. So any prospects of owning something else will have to wait. Cohen recently invested in a New York team for TGL, a golf league started by Tiger Woods and Rory, but his heart and money is firmly with the team from Flushing as they look to bounce back in 2024 and beyond. I gotta get it. I gotta get the Mets right, Cohen said Wednesday at Sportico's Invest in Sports conference at the Times Center in Manhattan via Newsday. Once I get the Mets right and get the model down, then I think I can think about doing something else. I've got to get this right, and I haven't gotten it right yet. And this is from Yahoo Sports. Um, up the trade deadline when he made deals that sent future Hall of Fame pitchers Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander to the Texas Rangers and Houston Astros, respectively. While it's too soon to grade return on the Scherzer and Verlander deals, the Astros and Rangers are benefiting. The Rangers completed their sweep of the Baltimore Orioles on Tuesday to advance to the ALCS. A bet without Scherzer, who suffered a shoulder injury at the end of the season. The Astros just completed their series with the Minnesota Twins after Wednesday's 3-2 win to advance to their seventh consecutive ALCS. And while the Mets are watching the postseason from home, Cohen doesn't regret his moves at the deadline, especially when it comes to Verlander and Houston. Look, what Justin Verlander has done for Houston, he's pitched great, Cohen said. There's an example where I was looking at the intermediate long term and they were thinking short term. How could they get into the playoffs and advance in the playoffs? So I would argue I was arbitraging different time frames. And I bet if you called Astro owner Jim Crane today, he's thrilled and I'm thrilled. That's great. After his trade to the the Astros, Verlander went 7-3 with a 3.31 ERA in the regular season for Houston. Um, he then started game one of the ALDS and pitched six shutout innings in the Astros 6-4 victory over the Twins on Saturday. During the conference on Wednesday, Cohen spoke about several aspects of the Mets organization from the business side, but when former general manager Billy Epler's resignation was brought up, Cohen declined to comment. Epler is under investigation by MLB about improper use of the injured list during the 2023 season. um, the Mets expect to hire a new GM, which they did, but are unsure when. For now, the team needs to find a new manager and fill out the roster for 2024. After 3 seasons as majority owner, Cohen may not feel he's gotten the model for success right, but he's definitely doing everything he can to get there. Okay. Um, let's see. Yeah, let's get to Brendan Nimmo. Let's get to Brendan Nimmo. Um, yeah, let's get to Brendan Nimmo. Hold on a second. I don't know why this is freezing up. Yeah, hang on a second here. Hang on a second here. Yes, so let's get to Brendan Nimmo right here. Um yes, so as recently as the morning of April 12th, Brendan Nimmo was batting 188. His on base percentage was predictably healthy thanks to his trademark plate discipline. But in a small sample, hits were not falling for the Mets' everyday leadoff hitter. He's making up for it now and then some. Nimmo homered as part of a 5-for-5 game in the Mets' 5-3 win over the Dodgers on Wednesday afternoon. His second career 5-hit game and his first since August 5th, 2018 in Baltimore. He's something to watch. Manager Buck Showalter said, "He's playing as good as I've seen him play right now, and he's played good for a long time." Nimmo singled, but was erased on a double play in both um, first and third innings against former teammate Noah Syndergaard, who was facing the New York Mets for the first time. Nimmo caused significantly more damage in the fifth, turning on Syndergaard's changeup and launching it a StatCast projected 431 feet into the right field bleachers to give New York a 2-1 lead. It was Nimmo's first home run since he signed an 8-year, $162 million contract in December, and the seventh longest homer in his career. Wow. I Yeah, I did watch that game, man. That game was pretty sick though. You know what I mean? Um, what else? Hang on a second here. Um, hang on a minute here. Hang on. Hang on a second. Um, wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. Um, um, hold on, folks. Sorry about that, folks. Had to run to the restroom real quick. Anyway, yes, yes, it was a really cool day. Nimble said, I was glad I was able to help the team win. Glad to be able to hit that home run there, give us the lead, kind of switch the momentum a little bit. Just a pretty cool day that I'm trying to soak in. Nimmo wasn't done. In the seventh inning, he was recorded an infield single, and in the ninth, he singled again and scored against Shelby Miller. The five hits boosted Nimmo's batting average to 349, nearly double what it was a week earlier, and a top five mark in the National League. Less surprisingly, Nimmo ranks second in the senior circuit with a 481 on base percentage, while also topping the NL with 1.3 on WAR, according to Fangraphs calculation. With the five hit game, Nimmo became one of only four Mets to achieve that feat twice in a career, joining Keith Hernandez three times, Mike Piazza, and Rusty Staub. The franchise record for hits in a game is six, shared by Edgardo Alfonso and Wilmer Flores. I'll never forget it. That's for sure. Nemo said, I didn't forget the other one, and I won't forget this. They just don't come around that often. All right. Let's see. Let's see. What else? What else? What else? Um, let me see. Let me see if I covered the bases, man. Um, yeah, Matt Harvey retired. Yeah, Matt Harvey. Yes. It's Matt Harvey. Hold on a sec. Yes, Matt Harvey, the brash, fireballing pitcher who assumed a superhero persona as he rose to prominence in Queens, then tumbled back to mortality amidst injuries and controversy, announced his retirement Friday from professional baseball. Goodbye, baseball, and thank you, Harvey wrote on Instagram, captioning a longer missive in which he reminisced on his career and thanked his family, friends, fans, and former teammates. A first round draft pick of the Mets in 2010, Harvey captivated New York 3 years later when he went 9-5 with a 2.27 ERA over 26 starts, starting the All-Star game at Citi Field and making frequent appearances on the gossip pages of city tabloids. That summer, he appeared on the cover of Sports Illustrated alongside the title The Dark Knight of Gotham. Yes, The Dark Knight of Gotham, spawning a nickname that would stick for the rest of his career. Um, I, I've been fortunate to be around some greats, but there's nobody who brought that extra attention or that charismatic Broadway type performance aspect to um, the mound with them every fifth day, like Matt did. Longtime Mets teammate David Wright said Friday in a telephone interview, "It was just this can't miss. You better tune in because something special could happen every fifth day." But Harvey's story quickly became one of lost potential as he underwent Tommy John surgery that August and missed the entire over details of his rehab. The next year, he returned to the mound and enjoyed renewed success as part of a wave of young came to include Jacob DeGrom, Zach Wheeler, Noah Syndergaard, and Steven Matz, all while fans and team officials kept close watch on his innings total. Initially, retirement season, Harvey eventually relented and responded with the capstone performance of his career. 8 scoreless innings in World Series Game 5 against the Royals, but manager Terry Collins' decision to leave him in for the ninth at Harvey's urging resulted in 2 runs that led to defeat. I know it ended badly, but he pitched into the ninth inning, Matt said, reminiscing Friday in St. Louis. He was such a fun guy to watch and watch him compete. He started off really well and he really fed off what was going on in the New York. It was fun. In retrospect, that night was the climax of Harvey's career. His 2016 campaign wound up being a shell of what had come before, and it was revealed around midsummer that he needed surgery to remove a rib and alleviate symptoms of thoracic outlet syndrome. Harvey never truly recovered. Hold on. Amidst flaggering velocity, he produced a 6.70 ERA the following season and was traded in 2018 to Cincinnati, where he began the process of bouncing to five teams in 4 seasons. In Anaheim, Harvey became embroiled in controversy following the death of Angels pitcher Tyler Skaggs from an accidental overdose in 2019. Harvey testified that he had provided Skaggs with drugs while the two were team. A former Angels employee who was ultimately convicted of giving Skaggs the oxycodone that led to his death. Suspended Harvey for 60 games in 2022 for violating Major League Baseball's Joint Drug Prevention and Treatment Program. In 2021, Harvey returned to Citi Field for the first time and received multiple standing ovations. He pitched Baltimore it back to the majors, becoming a free agent last November. Harvey's last act in a high-level competition was to pitch for Team Italy in the 2023 World Baseball Classic. There, he experienced enough success to entertain thoughts of a comeback, but 2 months later, Harvey announced his retirement. He 66 record, a 4.42 ERA, and 867 strikeouts over 966 1/3 innings. To the fans, most importantly, the New York Mets fans, you made a dream come true for me. Harvey wrote on Instagram, a dream I never could have thought to be true. Who would have thought a kid from Mystic, Connecticut, would be able to play in the greatest city in the world, his hometown. You are forever embedded in my heart. All right. Okay. Now, let me say something about the people in the people in SNY's baseball night in New York. The day that I was watching SNY, as they were basically look, let me just say this. I'm all for having an opinion on what the Mets has been going through as far as their ups and downs and stuff like that. But to actually say to actually say that they should play better baseball, but you cannot dismiss the fact that you know they weren't the same because Edwin Diaz had an injury. He had an injury today. This year for the simple fact that high expectations is one thing, but at the same token, um, these panelists these panelists don't really understand um the mental aspect behind playing baseball. The only three people, hold on a minute. The only three people who understand the mental aspect of playing baseball are Jerry Blevins, Todd Zeal, and Adam Ottavino. And of course, former managers are included. And look, winning every baseball game is very, very difficult. It is not easy to do. It's not easy to do. You know what I'm saying? And the part that really kind of struck me was one of the analysts or commentators from Baseball Night in New York was saying that you like to see brawls at baseball stadiums. Like, look, that is not listen, we've seen brawls before. But why do you want brawls you don't want brawls in every fucking game, man. You don't need that shit. And it's already crazy enough that they already put the pitch clock on there to make the game goes to make but at the same time, I like to say, like, I know you have an obligation and as a business and stuff like that to actually tell it like it is and shit like that. But at the same token, unless you experience playing baseball on a mental aspect, then you can't go around condemning the Mets and the players. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at these athletes in the Mets organization as human beings. Like, there's a fun aspect and there is a mental aspect. And as I said earlier, um, as I was talking about one of the NBA players and stuff, injuries is part of the fucking game. Okay, it is part of the game, and there is no such thing as a person who doesn't have fucking struggles. You know what I'm saying? The point that I'm trying to make here, and to the people from Baseball Night in New York, it's time for you to click and adapt because there is no such thing as a perfect athlete who is expected to win every fucking game. Like, it's a lot of pressure, it's a lot of anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, like let's be fucking real, man. Like, seriously, like, no amount of money is going to actually buy you trophies. It's not gonna buy you championships. It's not gonna buy you friendships. It's not gonna buy you any of those things. You can't put a price. on championships. You can't put a price on friendships. You can't put a price on World Series and all that great stuff right there. And look, man, like you can't please everybody. And I'm saying this to the athletes out there of the New York Mets. You're not gonna be able to please everybody. As long as you're doing your best, that's what matters to me. That's what matters to me. And injuries is gonna happen every year, regardless of whether you have a good game or a bad game. You know what I'm saying? So look, if you didn't have your uglies and your bads, how you gonna have good games? You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, to the people in baseball, time to click and adapt. You can't actually expect the Mets to win every fucking game. Slick pitching mechanisms. Sure, baseball is supposed to be fun. Yeah, I get that. But it's also a mental factor. It's a mental thing. Like I said before, there's no such thing as athletes with no struggles. And you can't expect them to get over their struggles overnight. And that's my take on Baseball Night in New York crew on SNY. I'm all for having opinions on TV and ratings and all that other stuff, but you can't condemn athletes and all that stuff. Like, how many people do you know heard of the World Baseball Classic? Barely, right? This year is the first time I ever heard about this baseball classic. I didn't even hear about the baseball classic until I looked up that it started in 2006. I was in college by then. And for the most part though, man, look, it's been a major blow for the Mets to lose Edwin Diaz and to hear that are about to lose Ronny Mauricio. And we have to wait and see what happens if he comes back. We have to wait and see. That ACL is very serious. Injuries are serious, and that's not something you can sugarcoat. You can't sugarcoat that shit. So, like I said, man, to the people from Baseball Night in New York on SNY, you have to click and adapt. There's no such thing as a perfect game. There's no such thing as a perfect game. The same way there's no such thing as a perfect athlete. Regardless of what the stat says, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? And that's my take on it. That's my take on Baseball Night in New York, the panelists, and everything else in between. Like I said, the only people that understand baseball are former athletes and managers, former managers, actually. Terry Collins, you have Todd Zeal, Jerry Blemons, and you have former Met Adam Ottavino. Of course, Ron Darling understands the game because he played it. Keith Hernandez played. He understands that. And they understand the mental aspects behind baseball. It's not just a fun game. It's also a mental factor. So just keep that in mind before you go ahead and condemning Mets players for not playing a good game. They did their best. Like, come on. They're human beings at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So there it is, man. That's my take. Okay. Now we can end this. Here. Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap this up right here, man. And we're gonna go to our last segment of the day, which is string choices on the go, man. Let's get into it right here, right now. Let's do this. Make sure you follow Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast, the Sports Edition show on Threads, alongside with Instagram, alongside with my other podcast shows that I do, which is Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast, the entertainment review show, and of course, my number one primary show, Off the Meat Rat Chains New York Avenue podcast, and myself on the gram, which is G Money Stacks 555 in Queens, New York. All right. So, make sure you turn on your notifications on Instagram so you can know when I'll be on Instagram Live, and 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 basically, record the episodes and stuff. Details to when I'll be dropping some of the sports episodes and stuff, which I will try my best to do it this week. And everything else in between. So I'll do my best. So, yes. Also, if you go to the link in bio, in my link tree, you're gonna see a whole list of stream platforms that you can listen to every episode that you could think of. That you could think of. In case you miss any of them, don't worry, I got your back. Yeah, so we are gonna start with all right, if you go to my link tree that says linktree / excellent fun vibrant talks pod, you're gonna see these listings, and you can download these apps onto your Android phones, iPhones, um, iPads, Android tablets, laptops, includes Mac, Apple Mac, and Dell laptops, which includes Windows. All right. So starting with Odyssey, Audible, Amazon Music, Breaker, Bullhorn FM, Castbox FM, Deezer, Listen Notes, Moon FM Podcast, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Podfriend, Podhound, Podopolo, Podorama, Podcast Index, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podverse, Podcast Guru, Podvine, Snip, Spotify for podcasters, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, iHeartRadio, the number one app for music, radio, and podcast, where you can listen to music, radio, and podcasts for free. You don't need a debit card or credit card to download iHeartRadio or any other streaming platforms that I just mentioned. You know what I'm saying? So, all you need to do is make sure you follow the podcast on iHeartRadio and other streaming platforms. And of course, my other two podcasts that I just mentioned, that's also on iHeartRadio as well, which is Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast, Review Show, and Off the Meat Rat Chains New York Avenue Podcast. All right. So, and you can also do the same with YouTube. Make sure you grab that subscribe button on the and 555 and Meticulous Juice podcast. And of course, grab yeah, grab the subscribe button alongside with alerts so you can be notified on when each podcast episode recording is going to start, including the date, day, month, and time. That will be on the air via live stream. Leave a like and a comment on the episodes, including the sports topics. Tell us what you think about the topics in today's episode. And of course, share the episodes, share the videos, and of course, be sure to, not only download the episodes of your favorite sports topics, you can add the podcast to your playlist, which includes Spotify. You have Deezer, you have Castbox FM, Odyssey, Audible, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and other streaming platforms that I just mentioned, wherever you get your podcast. All right. When you add the podcast to your playlist, you will be notified on when each episode that's new will be dropping. All right. So there you have it right there. Stay tuned for more video content, upcoming episodes, and of course, previous stuff right there. Um, yes. And yes, I had to mention I want to mention Discord one more time, man. One more time. I want to mention it one more time. You can also follow me on Discord at GMoneyStats555 in case you want to communicate with me on there about anything could be related to sports, music like hip hop, rap, R&B. It could be about video games, upcoming video games and stuff, movies and TV shows. And of course, you can chat with me about your days and everything else in between. So, you know, you'll make sure you follow me on Discord right there, man. You can write it down on a piece of paper. All right. So there you have it right there, man. And listen, be sure to um share my link tree alongside with your husbands, your wives, your boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, the people you are cool with from work and everywhere else. Spread the word. Word of mouth is important. All right, so that's gonna do it for me. I'm your man G Money Stacks, aka the Greg in there. Thank you very much for listening and hearing me out on what I thought about the people from baseball night in New York on SNY and how they are condemning players for not playing good baseball as far as the WBC or whatever, Edwin Diaz and stuff like that. It's been a struggle, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's been a struggle for them, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, there's no such thing as an athlete who doesn't have struggles. Remember that, you know what I'm saying? And there is no such thing as a perfect athlete. It doesn't matter what the stats is. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, there you have it right there, man. I spoke my piece on that. And yeah, remember the grind doesn't stop. Hard work pays off. If you want something, you have to work hard and earn it, right? And of course, you want to look for something, find your niche, be on your P's and Q's on a consistency basis, whether you're creating content on YouTube, podcasting, radio personality, wherever career field you're trying to do, whatsoever. Don't let anybody stop you from following your goals and dreams, regardless if it's your parents or not. All right. So, and 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 also remember that you want to You want to be able to do something that makes you happy, not based on your parents, but you. You can't please everybody. You know what I mean? You cannot please everybody. Everybody's not meant to be pleased. You know what I mean? So all you need to do is just focus on yourself and what makes you happy. And anything that clicks to you alongside with your instincts, creatively, mentally, physically, and spiritually, that gets you into your zone alongside with tunnel vision. All right. I'm out of here. I'll see y'all next time on the flip side. And I hope y'all take care of yourselves, checking on one another on their mental health. And of course, be safe out there. I hope y'all I hope y'all are doing some Christmas shopping right now. And I hope y'all enjoy your Christmas and everything else in between, New Year's, and everything else. So be safe, everybody, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace and one love, and of course, enjoy the rest of your night. Peace.